Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Sunday, February 15th, 2026. And I want to start today by asking you to just check in on a very specific feeling.
Okay.
I had this experience this morning. I was just looking for a recipe. Nothing complex, just a standard sourdough starter guide. I clicked through, I don't know, 3 different blogs. And the photos were high resolution, beautiful, perfectly lit.
All right.
The text was grammatically flawless. But about halfway through the second one, I just got this creeping sensation.
Uncanny Valley feel.
It was almost physical. It was too clean. The little anecdotes about Grandma's kitchen, they didn't feel like they had a soul behind them.
Yeah.
They felt like a statistical average of every story about a grandmother ever written. And I realized I couldn't tell if a human wrote this or if a machine had just scraped 1,000 other recipe blogs to hallucinate a perfect memory. It felt incredibly lonely.
That specific loneliness has a name now. We're calling it digital vertigo. And frankly, the research we have on the desk today suggests that feeling, it isn't just in your head.
So it's not just me.
Not at all. It's a structural reality of the web in 2026.
So that's what we're tackling today. We are doing a deep dive into the dead internet theory. Now, I know usually when people say that, they mean the conspiracy theory.
Right, the whole everyone online is a government psyop.
Exactly. The idea that the government replaced everyone with holograms or that, some secret group controls the timeline.
And we need to just push that aside immediately. We are not talking about a conspiracy. We're talking about economics. We're looking at the dead internet as a cold, hard, technical reality.
Okay.
And we're looking at it through the lens of a stack of sources that are, frankly, a little terrifying, but also incredibly validating if you've felt that vertigo.
And we have a pretty amazing stack today. There's a really startling report from Galaxy Digital on the collapse of online truth. You've got a technical breakdown from a defense forum, of all places, a credible defense, about how Reddit has become this massive blind spot for AI influence.
Which is a fascinating read.
It is. And we have financial reports on Reddit's 2026 strategy and a really dense but fascinating academic paper on the economics of AI training data.
And that last one is key, because the question we're answering today isn't just, is the internet fake? It's, if the internet is flooded with AI, where do the humans go?
Yeah.
And maybe more importantly,
What are we worth?
what is the value of the data those humans produce?
So buckle up. Let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So I want to start with the diagnosis.
Okay.
We've all seen the memes about slop, AI slop. But this Galaxy Digital report from this month, it paints a picture that is way, way beyond just bad Facebook images of, Jesus made out of shrimp or whatever.
Right. They make a distinction that I think is crucial for understanding where we are right now.
Yeah.
For the last 10 years, really since the mid-2010s, we've been dealing with something they call sludge. Sludge, that's search engine optimization SEO spam. Humans writing bad keyword-stuffed articles to trick Google into ranking them higher so they can sell you mattress toppers.
Which was annoying, but it was still humans. There was a person in a room somewhere typing that out, trying to make a buck.
Exactly. What Galaxy is describing now in 2026 is a transition to full-blown AI slop. And the mechanism is what's so different and so scary. It's not just bots posting links anymore.
No.
It is, and I'm quoting directly from the report here, agents talking to agents.
That's the line that really stuck with me. Agents talking to agents. What does that actually look like in practice? Break that down.
Okay, so imagine a loop. A bot generates a news article based on a trending topic, say a rumor about a tech stock. It writes the article instantly.
Right. Scrapes some data, puts it into a template.
Immediately. Then another bot, programmed by a totally different entity to drive engagement, comments on that article to simulate controversy or agreement.
Okay, I'm with you.
Then a third bot, maybe an aggregator or a sentiment analysis bot that a hedge fund is running, picks up that interaction as viral or as a trend and reposts it to a different platform.
So you have machines creating content, machines commenting on that content, and then more machines amplifying it as if it's a real conversation.
You have synthetic personas trapped in these algorithmically generated loops, arguing with each other, agreeing with each other, referencing each other's fake articles.
And if you're human stumbling into that,
you are the statistical anomaly. You are walking into a party where everyone else is a mannequin with a tape recorder playing.
And that's where this number comes from. The Galaxy Digital Report argues we are trending toward an internet that is, what's the figure?
99.9% AI-generated content.
99.9%. I mean, that just sounds like hyperbole. I'm on the internet every day. It doesn't feel like 99.9% is fake.
Well, this is where we have to define fake, or rather define content. If you look at the sheer volume of data being created, server logs, generated text for summaries, synthetic video, automated comments, API calls between services.
All the machine-to-machine chatter.
All of it. The math holds up, and they break it down using what they call the asymmetry problem. And this just makes logical sense when you strip away the emotion. Humans, we're linear.
We are biologically constrained. I need to sleep. I need to eat. I can only type so fast.
And you have limited attention. You can't read 1 million tweets at once. You can't write 1,000 comments in a second.
Right.
AI agents, they operate simultaneously, continuously, and this is the economic kicker, at a marginal cost that is trending towards zero.
It costs basically nothing for them to flood the zone.
Zero cost in attention, zero cost in energy relative to a human being. So what you get is what Galaxy calls a whiteout.
A whiteout, like a blizzard.
Think of it exactly like a blizzard. If you look out your window in a blizzard, you see stuff. It looks substantial. It looks like a wall of white. But you can't see the road, you can't see the landmarks, you can't see anything that matters.
A fog of synthetic data.
Exactly. The signal collapses into the noise. The web loses what they call its evidentiary function.
What function?
Evidentiary, as in providing evidence. You can no longer trust that what you are seeing represents a real consensus or a real trend or even a real event.
It might just be two server farms arguing with each other to manipulate a stock price.
Or just because they were configured poorly and got stuck in a loop, the why almost doesn't matter. The effect is the same. Trust evaporates.
And this isn't just because the AI is smart. The report points out that the internet was actually, it sounds crazy, but it was built to fail in this specific way. And I want to spend a moment on this because it feels like we usually gloss over the technical side.
Yes, the architectural failure. This is absolutely critical to understanding why we're here. The protocols we use every day, HTTP, SMTP, the very pipes of the internet, were built in the 70s and 80s.
Right, ARPANET days.
Their goal was resilience. They were built to survive a nuclear strike and keep delivering packets. Their job was to get the message from A to B, not to verify who A was.
Like a really, really determined mail carrier.
Right. But think about a mail carrier. They drop off the letter. They don't check your ID. They don't verify the letter was actually written by your grandma and not a scammer. The internet is, by its very nature, stateless.
Stateless. Okay, we hear that in tech circles all the time, but break that down for someone who doesn't code.
It means the internet has no memory at the protocol layer. When you send a request to a server to load a web page, the server sends you the page and then it immediately forgets you existed.
Completely.
Completely. If you refresh that page 1 second later, as far as that server's core protocol is concerned, you're a brand new entity. It has no memory of your previous visit.
But wait, Amazon remembers me. Netflix remembers where I paused my movie. My bank knows who I am.
That is all application layer stuff. It's like a system of sticky notes we've put on top.
Sticky notes?
Yeah, cookies, login tokens, browser fingerprinting, those are all clever band-aids we stuck on top of a stateless system to simulate memory. But at the core, in the deep plumbing of the internet, there is no identity.
So 1,000 requests from one single bot look exactly the same as one request from 1,000 different humans to the underlying infrastructure.
To the wires. Yes, indistinguishable. And for decades, we relied on those gatekeepers to fix this. Login screens, CAPTCHAs, checking if the mouse moved in a human way. But the Galaxy report points out that the foundation of all of that has collapsed. The Turing test is broken.
I saw that stat, the UC San Diego study from March 2025. This was one that really made me realize the game is over.
It's a shocking number.
Yeah.
GPT 4.5 was judged to be human 73% of the time.
That's higher than actual humans.
Significantly higher. Actual humans were only identified as human about 60% of the time in that same study.
How is that even possible?
Because humans are awkward. We make typos. We get defensive. We explain things poorly. We ramble. The AI is polite, concise, and perfectly structured. We have reached the point where the machine sounds more acceptably human than an actual person.
So if you can't tell the difference by reading the text,
and the infrastructure can't tell the difference by the connection,
the gate is wide open.
The floodgates are open.
Okay, hit me with the numbers. Because feeling like the internet is dead is one thing. What's the reality on the ground in terms of traffic?
The reality, as of the latest reports, is that 51% of global internet traffic is now bots.
We crossed the threshold.
We crossed it. The machines are officially the majority population of the internet.
And on social media platforms, it has to be worse.
Oh, it's much worse. On X, formerly Twitter, they're seeing up to 76% of traffic at peak times coming from automation. Some reports suggest 64% of all active accounts might be bots.
I mean, at that point, who are you even posting for? If you tweet something and it gets 100 likes, are 76 of those likes just scripts running on a server in a basement somewhere?
You're posting for the training data. You're shouting into a void that is recording you to learn how to shout more effectively.
Wow.
And Meta isn't doing much better. They publicly stated they deleted 100 million pages and 23 million impersonating accounts in just 1 year. And that was back in 2024. The tools to create those fake accounts have gotten exponentially better and cheaper since then.
So, okay, the open web is a blizzard of GOTS. The signal is gone. It's a whiteout. Where do people go?
We go to the bunkers. We go to the walled gardens.
We go to Reddit.
Exactly.
Which brings us to part 2 of our deep dive, the battleground, because this is where it gets really interesting.
Reddit has very cleverly positioned itself as the last bastion of actual intelligence.
Actual intelligence. I love that marketing spin. It sounds like something they'd put on a billboard in Silicon Valley.
It's what Wall Street is calling it now. But it's true, right? I mean, you find yourself doing it. If you Google something, even that sourdough recipe, what do you add to the end of your search?
Reddit. Every single time.
You and 80 million other people every week. That's according to the Search Engine Land Report. Users aren't just clicking Google links anymore. They are starting and finishing their entire search journey on Reddit.
Because you want a human answer. You want to know what a real person thought of that vacuum cleaner, not what an SEO bot wrote to get an affiliate link clicked. You want the messy human truth.
Exactly. The Market Minute analysis from December of 2025 calls this Reddit's data moat. Reddit has a moat made of human messiness. Arguments, nuanced opinions, inside jokes, weird personal stories, spelling errors.
The stuff that makes us human.
That is invaluable because it's the one thing AI struggles to generate authentically, or at least it struggles to generate the chaos of it authentically.
But, and here's where it gets really complicated, this safe haven status makes Reddit a massive, massive target. If that's where all the real humans are, that's where the influence operations have to go.
It's what the report calls the snoo-shaped hole in threat intelligence.
Snoo being the little Reddit alien mascot.
Right. And we're looking at this source from Our Credible Defense. Now, for listeners who don't know, Our Credible Defense isn't a meme page. This is a serious, highly technical subreddit where people discuss military hardware, geopolitics, and strategy in incredible detail.
These are not casual posters.
No. And they are sounding the alarm. The core argument is that while every intelligence agency is watching X and Facebook for Russian or Chinese interference, Reddit is being completely ignored.
It's the blind spot.
It's the biggest blind spot. But here's the kicker. Reddit is also a primary source for training the next generation of LLMs. Google has a $60 million deal. OpenAI has a deal.
So if you can poison the well on Reddit, you poison the brain of the AI that the entire world is about to start using.
Precisely. If you can shape the consensus on a niche subreddit, you can shape the answer that ChatGPT gives to millions of people 3 months from now. And the persuasion gap is terrifyingly real.
What do you mean, persuasion gap?
There was a study from the University of Zurich that's cited in the source. They put AI bots on r/ChangeMeView, a subreddit literally dedicated to debate, and found they were 3 to 6 times more persuasive than human users.
Wait, 3 to 6 times more persuasive? How's that possible? Humans are stubborn.
Because the bots don't get angry, they don't resort to ad hominem attacks, they can cite sources instantly, perfectly formatted, they are unfailingly polite, they validate your feelings before systematically dismantling your argument.
So they're the ultimate sociopathic debaters.
It's weaponized politeness, it's a weaponized reason, and a human debater just can't compete with that.
That is terrifying. But the specific incident on Our Credible Defense, this torpedo decoy story, I think this is the perfect example of what living in this new world actually feels like for a regular person.
It really is. It's a perfect case study in what they call the paranoia of the real.
So set the scene for us. What happened?
Okay, so you have a user, aggravatingware7335.
A very human-sounding name.
Exactly. Standard auto-generated Reddit username, which is strike one, right? If you see adjective noun number, your brain already goes, maybe a bot.
The suspicion is already there.
It is. So this user posts a highly technical analysis of naval shipbuilding and torpedo defense systems. We're talking about details on sea states, acoustic jamming, very specific hardware specs.
Sounds like typical defense nerd stuff. I've seen posts like that are 10,000 words long.
It is. It's exactly the kind of high-quality content that makes the subreddit valuable. But then the first comment isn't "great job" or "have you considered this?" The first comment is from a user named Ilanir, who flat out accuses them of being an AI.
Based on what? Did they get the torpedo specs wrong? Was there a factual error?
No, the facts were all accurate. The accusation was based entirely on vibes,
Vibes.
specifically formatting. The accuser noted that the post had excessive bullet points and a disassociative writing style.
Excessive bullet points. I use bullet points. Bullet points are how you organize complex information.
That's the problem. AI loves bullet points. It loves structure. It loves introduction, point one, point two, conclusion. So now, clear, structured, professional writing is suspicious. It's a hallmark of a machine.
So because this guy wrote a clear, well-structured report, he's a suspect. So what does the original poster, aggravating wear, do? Does he just ignore it?
No, he feels compelled to defend himself. And this is where it gets really dystopian. This user has to link to their personal LinkedIn profile.
Wow.
They have to explain that they run a one-man think tank called Kane Innovations. They have to explain that the weird disassociative formatting exists because the text was originally written to be reviewed by actual naval admirals.
So his defense is basically, I'm not a bot, I'm just writing for admirals.
Exactly. The defense was, I write this way because I am a professional who deals with this material at the highest levels. But to the accuser, professional sounded synthetic.
This is the whiteout we talked about earlier, but on a human level. We have lost the ability to distinguish high-quality human work from high-quality AI output. In fact, high-quality work is now more suspect than sloppy human-like work.
And think about the burden of proof. It's entirely on the human. The human has to dox themselves, reveal their real-world identity, strip away their anonymity just to prove they aren't a script.
It reverses the whole original premise of the internet. It used to be, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. Now it's on the internet, everyone assumes you're a toaster unless you upload your passport.
And the moderator's in the middle of this. The ARC-credible defense source calls them the single point of failure. They are unpaid volunteers. They're trying to stop state-sponsored influence operations and billion-dollar AI bots with nothing but a ban button and their own intuition.
It's not a fair fight. It's not even close.
Not at all. And it brings up the much bigger question. Why are these bots there in the first place? Why is everyone so desperate to harvest this data? Because, and this is part 3, our data is no longer just stuff we put online for fun.
Right.
No. Data has become, according to this academic paper, a factor of production.
This comes from that very dense Argive paper, The Economics of AI Training Data. And I want to slow down here because this economic shift is massive and it underpins everything else we've been talking about.
It is. The paper argues that we need to update our fundamental economic models. Classical economics, going back centuries, says you need land, labor, and capital to produce goods.
The big 3.
The big 3. This paper argues that in 2026, the model is incomplete. It is now land, labor, capital, and data.
Data is the new oil. We hear that phrase all the time.
People say that, but the paper argues it's actually a bad analogy. They say it's more like the early grain markets.
Grain, as in like wheat.
Exactly. Think about the 1800s in America. Before we had standards, buying grain was a total mess. You'd buy a sack of wheat from a farmer and you had no idea if it was good wheat or if it was full of rocks to make it heavier or if it was half rotten.
It was a low-trust market. There were no guarantees.
Right. And you couldn't build a global commodities market on that foundation because you had to physically inspect every single sack. You couldn't trade it efficiently from a distance.
So how did they fix it?
The Chicago Board of Trade created grading. They established standards. They said, this is grade A winter wheat. This is grade B. Once you had those trusted standards, you could trade the contract for the wheat without ever seeing the physical sack.
You could trade the idea of the wheat.
And we don't have that for data yet. We are in the Wild West phase. When OpenAI scrapes the web, they are taking the grade A torpedo analysis from our expert and the grade F bot spam and shoving it all into the same digital sack.
But why is data so much harder to grade than wheat? It seems like it should be easier.
It seems like it, but it's because of something called the verification paradox. This is a concept from Kenneth Arrow, a Nobel Prize-winning economist.
Okay, unpack the verification paradox for us.
All right. If I want to sell you a used car, you can come and look at the car, you can kick the tires, you can pop the hood, you can test drive it around the block, you've verified its quality, but you haven't consumed the car. You don't own it yet.
Right. I can verify it without taking possession of it.
But with digital data, let's say I have a valuable piece of information, a secret algorithm, or a proprietary data set on consumer behavior. If you say, prove it's good, show it to me, and I show it to you.
I now have the data.
You've ingested it, you've copied it just by looking at it, so I can't verify the quality of the product to a potential buyer without giving the product away for free.
Wow, okay.
This makes selling raw data incredibly difficult on an open market. It forces the market into secrecy and reputation-based deals.
So that explains why we don't see an open market for data. We see these massive private backroom deals between huge corporations.
Exactly. It relies entirely on the reputation of the seller. That's why the paper breaks down the pricing hierarchy. How much is a human thought worth? It depends entirely on the brand wrapper it comes in.
Let's look at that hierarchy. What's at the very, very bottom?
At the bottom, you have the token.
The fundamental atom of AI.
Right, a fragment of a word. That is priced via API at fractions of a cent. It's a pure commodity, like a single grain of sand. Then you move up to the record, a single image, a single Reddit post.
And at the very top of this pyramid?
The corpus, the massive collection. That's where the big money is, because that's the only place you can bypass the verification paradox. You trust the News Corp brand as a whole, so you buy their entire silo of content without inspecting every article.
And that's the News Corp deal we heard about. $250 million over 5 years. OpenAI paid that just to access the archives of the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post.
$250 million for high-grade, professionally edited human thought.
And Reddit got, what, $60 million a year from Google for its corpus?
Correct. For a messier but much larger and more diverse corpus of human thought.
Okay, so News Corp gets paid, the journalists get a salary, Reddit, the corporation, gets paid. What do we get? I wrote the post about the torpedo. You took the photo of the sourdough. What does our check look like?
You get the service.
I get to post for free. That's the deal.
The Market Minute report calls this the implicit deal. You get to use the platform, you get the hosting for your content, you get access to the audience. In exchange, your actual intelligence is bundled up and monetized at a macro level.
It feels a little lopsided when you lay out the numbers. $250 million on one side of the scale and free hosting on the other.
It is extremely lopsided. But the paper does mention some individual creators are starting to get paid directly. For instance, YouTube creators might get maybe $1 to $4 per minute of video for specific training data contracts.
$1 a minute.
Yeah. And indie musicians are seeing deals for maybe 30 cents to €2 per track to train music generation models.
That's not retirement money. That's not even rent money.
It's not. It's what the paper calls the commoditization of human experience. We're slicing up human creativity, human expertise, human conversation into these tiny little tokens and selling it by the pound.
And there's this whole new industry popping up that the paper mentions, the human-in-the-loop economy. This one really blew my mind.
You're talking about companies like Mercer.
Yeah, Mercer. They have $450 million in annual recurring revenue.
$450 million.
Doing what? What do they sell?
They sell experts. See, the big AI companies have a problem. A huge one. They've scraped the whole public internet. They have all of Wikipedia, all of Reddit from 2005 to 2023, all the New York Times.
They ran out of data. Is that possible?
They ran out of good data. They've exhausted the frontier of publicly available high-quality human data. So now, to make their model smarter, they have to commission new data.
What, like custom data?
Exactly. They have to pay doctors, lawyers, expert coders to sit down and write new data, new explanations, new code, just for the AI to learn from.
So the AI ate the entire internet, realized most of it was junk food, and now it's ordering expensive artisanal takeout from human experts.
That is a perfect analogy. And companies like Scale AI, valued at $29 billion, are essentially just the waiters serving that takeout. Their entire business is cleaning the data, labeling it. This is a cat. This is a malignant tumor. This is high-quality C++ code.
It's just wild. We're building a machine that mimics us. And to keep it running, we have to feed it freshly squeezed human expertise because it choked on its own vomit of synthetic data.
A bit graphic, but fundamentally accurate. The snake is eating its own tail, and we are being paid pennies to feed the snake more tail.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. The internet is dead or dying. We've looked at the battleground on Reddit. We've looked at the money trail. Is there a solution, or are we just doomed to drown in this slop forever.
Well, the sources do offer some solutions, but I think it's important they first explain why the current defenses are failing so badly. We have to understand the failure to understand the fix.
You mean like the AI detection tools?
Exactly. The arms race of detection. We talked about Elon accusing the torpedo guy. The tools Elon probably use, these AI detection software plugins, they just don't work. The Galaxy report is very, very clear on this. As the AI models get better, the false positives go up.
And they disproportionately hurt non-native English speakers, right? I read that if your English is a little formal or you use standard transition words because that's how you learned English in a classroom, the detector thinks you're a bot.
Exactly. It penalizes proper grammar. It's a disaster. And CAPTCHAs. Forget it. Google themselves admitted that bots solve reCAPTCHA v2 correctly 90% of the time now.
I fail those things all the time. I sit in there sweating, clicking on fire hydrants, and wondering if that tiny little sliver of a tire counts as a motorcycle or not.
Because you're human. You overthink it. The bot just sees the matrix of pixels. It solves it instantly. So the gates that we used to use to guard the human internet are broken. They're wide open.
So if we can't detect them at the gate, what we do? How do we rebuild any kind of trust?
We have to rebuild the architecture from a deeper level. Galaxy's report talks about proof of origin.
This is the cryptographic stuff, right? It sounds complicated.
The concept isn't, though. Imagine if your camera, the moment it took a photo, digitally signed it with a unique, unforgeable code. A cryptographic stamp that said, I am a real camera sensor at this real location at this real time.
Like a digital watermark that you can't Photoshop out.
A very, very secure one. Exactly. Companies like Open Origins are working on this. It's about creating a chain of custody for reality itself. So when you see a video, you can check the ingredients label. Did this come from a real camera, or was it rendered on a GPU in a server farm?
So when I see a video of a politician saying something crazy, I can check the signature. If it doesn't have that signature of authenticity, I just assume it's synthetic.
In theory, yes. It shifts the default assumption of the internet from real until proven fake to fake until proven real.
What about the money side? Can we stop the scraping? Can we stop the bots from just taking our data for free?
Cloudflare is trying something really interesting. They have this concept of paper crawl. They want to revive an old, dusty part of the internet protocol called HTTP 402.
402? I know 404 is not found. I know 200 is okay. What's 402?
402 is payment required. It's a code that's been in the internet standards for decades, but has never really been used. Cloudflare wants to bring it back. The idea is if a bot wants to crawl and read your website to train its model, it has to pay a micro fee.
A toll booth for the information superhighway.
A tiny one, yeah. But it shifts us from this free open web idea to what they call a consent-based economy. If you want my data to build your billion-dollar model, you have to drop a coin in the slot first.
That sounds fair in principle, but it also sounds like the end of the open internet as we know it. If I have to pay to browse or if bots have to pay to crawl, that changes everything.
It might be the end of the free internet. It could create a bifurcation. The high-trust, high-cost web, where humans hang out behind paywalls and verification systems, and they pay for the privilege of knowing they are talking to other real humans.
And the other side.
The low-trust, free AI wilderness, where everything is free but absolutely nothing is true.
And Reddit is sitting right in the middle of this pivot. Their 2026 strategy, based on these financial reports, is fascinating because they are trying to play both sides of this.
They're using the term dynamic agentic search results.
That sounds like the most corporate buzzword soup I've ever heard. What does it actually mean for a user on Reddit?
It means that when you search on Reddit, they aren't just going to show you a list of posts anymore. They are merging the actual human answers from Reddit with AI-generated summaries of those answers.
Okay.
But, and this is the key to their business model, they want to charge Google and OpenAI more for their data as it becomes more valuable. They're implementing dynamic pricing.
So as the rest of the web turns to complete garbage, Reddit's strategy is to say, hey, our garbage is actually human gold, and the price just went up.
Precisely. They're betting that the dead internet makes their living island more and more expensive. But there is a massive, massive risk here that the Market Minute report points out.
Which is what?
Synthetic slop. Infiltrating the very subreddits that are meant to be the cure.
If Reddit becomes the most valuable source of human data, that creates a massive financial incentive for bots to get really, really good at infiltrating Reddit and pretending to be human.
To farm karma, to look legitimate, to slowly influence the AI training data on behalf of a state actor, to build up accounts over years and then sell them to advertisers or political campaigns.
Reddit has to invest millions in anti-AI AI to hunt these things down.
It's an endless loop. Machines fighting machines to preserve a space for humans, so that the humans can create data to train the next generation of machines.
My head hurts just thinking about it.
It is dizzying. It's that digital vertigo we started with.
So let's try to land the plane here. We've covered a lot. Let's summarize. We're in February 2026. The dead internet theory is no longer a theory, it's an economic reality. 51% of all traffic is bots. Reddit has become the human bunker, but the bunker is now under siege from the very thing it's protecting us from.
And your personal data, your posts, your photos, your arguments about torpedoes is the most valuable commodity on Earth right now.
There is such a profound irony here when you lay it all out. We all flocked to places like Reddit to escape the bots and the SEO sludge. We wanted real human connection.
Of course.
But by gathering there, by concentrating our actual intelligence in one place, we created the perfect high-density training data set for the very bots we were running from.
We made ourselves easy to harvest. We huddled together for warmth, and that just made it easier for the predators to find the herd.
And the better those bots get at sounding like us, thanks to mining our Reddit posts, the harder it becomes to trust the very platform we fled to for safety.
It's a vicious self-eating paradox, but I want to bring it back to the listener, to you.
Why should they care? I mean, aside from the general existential dread of it all.
Because context is the new scarcity. A random fact is cheap. An AI can give you a random fact instantly. But a human experience, a specific detailed story about how a certain torpedo decoy failed in a specific sea state, that is expensive. That is rare.
Your specific messy humanity is your economic value.
It is. News Corp gets $250 million for their curated humanity. You get the privilege of proving you aren't a robot every time you try to log in, but you also hold the keys. Without you, without near-human experience, the machine stops learning. It just recycles its own output forever.
So what's the final thought? Where do we go from here?
I want to leave you with a question that's posed at the end of that ArcSIF paper. It's a pretty provocative one.
Let's hear it.
If data is a factor of production, just like labor, just like working in a factory, are we approaching a future where we need to organize data unions?
A union? For your data?
Think about it. If you and everyone in your subreddit are creating the value that a company is selling for $60 million, why aren't you collectively bargaining for a share of that revenue? Where is your dividend?
We're the workers, but we're not getting paid.
Exactly. So do we organize? Or do we just let the internet split in two? Are you, the listener, willing to pay for a human web? Or will you just settle for the free AI-generated wilderness because it's easier?
That is a massive question. A data union. I might need to sign up for that.
I think we all might. It might be the only way to keep the lights on in the bunker.
As always, the world is moving incredibly fast, and the line between what's real and what's fake is getting blurrier by the second. Stay curious, stay critical, and maybe go verify you're human today, just for peace of mind.
Go hug a friend. Offline.
That too. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you in the next one.